right, all right. Let's just see who's going to trickle in before we get started. Get everyone in. All right, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Let's have a look. Make sure the sound, the audio's all right. Is the audio going? Okay. It's fine. All right, so it's going to be a wrap-up of the weekend's games, all that sort of thing. So let's look at it first. We'll start with, obviously, the Box versus the Barbarians, which, massive game. Look, I'm a South African, okay. I also lived in New Zealand, and this result is super surprising. South Africa 54 points to 7. That's insane. I mean, especially the record they do have against the Barbars. You know, obviously brilliant game. The atmosphere is good. It wasn't like a test match atmosphere, but you could tell that people were there for a good time. Even just the whole setup. You know, Omani's last game, him also giving the jersey to Cornel Hendricks' family. You know, that's what rugby's about. At the end of the day, you know, you can always have a beer with them after the game and talk about the game, and they'll move on. We know that it was a bit one-way traffic. I mean, bit of humidity, bit of the rainy weather, so it wasn't a perfect, I guess, barbarian weather. But at the same time, yeah, the Box just look already like they're a well-oiled team, even though a lot of the players, it was their first time probably all playing together as a team. I mean, you can look at the team. Obviously, the forwards, most of them have been in the system for a while, apart from, obviously, Naklayakene, excuse the pronunciation. Marco van Staden's back in again. He's been there before. Jean-Luc Dupria, and then you also got Chituka as well, who's also fairly new in, scoring a double, obviously. Brilliant by him. Luat de Jager, you know, first time playing for the Box in like 2 years. Van der Berg getting a shot, and he was brilliant. And then that's pretty much about it. The backline is, I think that backline is probably, that is the backline I would pick. Okay, that is my top pick backline, apart from maybe Damien Willemse. You know, he can square it off with Fassi or even give De Allende a break, but De Allende to me is honestly, you know, top 3 number 12s in the world. Him, Minancello, players like that. You just can't go past them. But anyway, so it started off, you know, obviously the structure of the Box is way more than you'd expect from Barbarians. You can see that in the first half. I mean, Malcolm Marx getting the maul, Colby scoring a try as well, Chituka breaking away, good try, and then Vessels coming over for a try as well. Yellow card there to Boscher, then Arensa gets a try, then you got Manu Lebok, Luat de Jager, Jaminet coming through, and then Chituka and De Allende to finish it off. Just a brilliant game of rugby to watch if you're a Box supporter anyway. I think a lot of haters were saying that the Box are actually going to lose this game, which, yeah, unfortunately, that's not right, okay? I thought it would be much closer. I thought the Barbarians would be able to keep it within 20 points, because, I mean, the Box are about 20-point favorites at the end with the betting, and they smashed them, absolutely smashed them. And, you know, even though the Barbarians, the big names in there, you know, are a bit older, I expected a little bit more from them, should I rather say, but, you know, we bid farewell to a couple of brilliant players over the years, and that's Pete Omani, also Kean Healy as well. You know, absolute legends of the game, especially if you're an Irish supporter. But, you know, brilliant servants of rugby, and, you know, I'm happy they get to play this game, and just as a good goodbye. I know they would have had a good couple beers with some of the Box players after, for sure. Chatted a bit about how they beat them at the World Cup, right? But all in all, let's have a quick look. I want to see this rugby pass, and we can kind of rate it here as well, just the ratings that they've given for the players for the Box, and we can kind of see if we agree or disagree. So you got Malcolm Mark, Oxen Che, 7 out of 10. You got Malcolm Mark, 7.5. Nakane, 6.5. John Klein, 6.5. Luat de Jager, 8 out of 10. Marco van Staden, yeah, Luat was brilliant. Just, it seems like he hasn't even been away from the game with injuries, right? Chituka was brilliant. Jean-Luc Dupria wasn't bad, wasn't overly brilliant. Morne van der Berg, I thought he was energetic, and I wish it was dry weather. I think it would have been brilliant. Feinberg and Gomezulu was good. Kurt Leanter, 8 out of 10. Damien Del Linda, 7.5 out of 10. Creel, 8 out of 10. Cheslin Colby, 8 out of 10. And Fussy, 8 out of 10 as well. You can see Reinach was brilliant, as he always is. Andre Este is an absolute beast. 7 out of 10. Mani, 6.5. Reinach, 8 out of 10. Quacha, 7 out of 10. Franco Mostert, 7 out of 10. Fouchier, 6 out of 5. 6.5 out of 10. Jan Hendrik Wessel, 6.5. And Marnus van der Merwe, 7 out of 10. Would have been a brilliant day in Kaapstad. I think it would have been, just a brilliant day for rugby. I know the weather wasn't great. Obviously a bit of hectic rain going on, but at the end of the day, it's good for rugby. It's good to see the Barbars back. Good to see the Boks back. And yeah, they're picking up where they left off. And as we said before, I just want to go through this team list, right? Like, who here is actually a guarantee in the Boks team this day and age? So you got Ox, he is, Malcolm Ox is, Asenati, he's in the fringe squad. You got John Klein, he's also a fringe one in the squad. You got Itzebeth, you got obviously Luat de Jager as well. You got the big Viking himself. You also got Norkia. You got heaps and heaps of good second rowers. You got Marco van Staden, a plethora of loose forwards for the Boks. Jean-Luc Dupre, he's also kind of on the outside. Chituka's on the outside. Marco van Staden's always battling to make the 23. Morne van der Berg, he could be maybe third, fiddle 9 even. And then the rest of them, I think, are pretty much first picks for the team. So, scary good how good the Boks are at the moment. Obviously, me being a Boks supporter, I'm freaking happy about it. Ecstatic. I know that they're going to, they're building from where they are. And at the end of the day, I still hear, I speak to some of my friends here in Australia as well and back home in South Africa. I always ask them and talk to them about the Boks, and some of them still, to this day, question some things that Rassie Erasmus, Dr. Rassie does, and I don't understand it. This dude is built for rugby, so just trust in him, in my opinion, anyway. And then let's move on to the next biggest, well, this is the biggest game for me of the weekend, is the final of the top 14. Far out. Replay of last season, much closer this year. I think Toulouse won by like 50 or something last year. It was an absolute whitewash. But Toulouse versus Bordeaux, take 2. Bordeaux has beaten them 3 times this year. And unfortunately, I tipped Toulouse to win because, it's hardly ever that 2 good teams, play 3 or 4 times and the other team doesn't beat them once. And obviously, throughout the season, the Toulouse games, they were missing a couple of key players. They were also missing Dupont as well. But at the end of the day, I think that experience, Jack Willis. Man, if you're an English supporter, you're like, dude, sign with England Rugby or, make some sort of way for him to be able to play in that English team. He would hold down that number 7 position for England till he retires. This dude is a freaking beast. He's built for the big games. He's built for the big moments. And I just feel like, obviously if you're an English supporter, let me know below, because you would be pissed off that you don't have the choice of picking this guy in your team, especially when a World Cup comes around, all these sort of things. And he's not old, so now is the time. That's just what I'd be saying. Thomas Ramos was brilliant off the boot. Same with Luku as well. The game went to freaking extra time. It went to extra time. So right on the 80th minute, penalty to Bordeaux. Luku kicks it over. And then in the extra time, Toulouse gets 2 penalties, making it 39-33. What a brilliant, brilliant game. And the top 14 this year deserves it. There's been a lot of upsets. Toulouse finished at the top. They got it done. Bordeaux finished with the Champions Cup. So at the end of the day, just a brilliant season. If you're a rugby fan, especially here in the Southern Hemisphere, Northern Hemisphere, wherever it might be, get around it. Definitely watch that top 14. It is the club competition to beat, in my opinion, just purely that they have so many good players from all over the world playing in it. It's not just like the Super Rugby where New Zealand teams have to mostly have New Zealand players or that sort of thing. They still have superstars from other countries playing in this competition. But let's go. Look at some stats here. If they want to even show us any stats. Oh, no stats. Yeah, okay. Let's find it on here then. On the old Rugby Pass, at least they should show us some statistics. It's the end of the day. Rugby supporters, we love statistics. There's it's not much without it. So here we go. Let's look at these stats. All right, so you can see 6 penalty goals to Toulouse, 4 for Bordeaux, 3 tries each, 3 conversions each, 145 to 149 carries, about the same line breaks, about the same turnovers lost, but 7 turnovers won for Toulouse, which is obviously big at the end of the day. Turnovers lost, Thomas Ramos 5, Luku 4, Kinghorn 3. Tackles completed, you got Pierre with 17 tackles, Jefferson Poirot with 14, Francois Crow, the absolute beast himself, 13. Just at the end of the day, brilliant game. Jalibert with 21 carries, that's insane for a 10. Geelong 17, just beast. And Thomas Ramos. Let's just go through this points here. So just to kind of show you, if you can read that on the screen, Luku gets a penalty at the start. Ramos replies, Luku replies, Ramos replies, and Luku replies. So typical, I guess, a French game at the start. 5 penalties to start it off. Then a try for Geelong, which was brilliant. He hit that hole just perfectly. Absolutely perfect. Peno, Luku did a brilliant grubber kick through. Peno, as he always does, running onto it, chasing hard. Moves mid, kind of catching it. Scores a try. Jack Willis with a maul over. What was that? Maybe the pick and drive. Jalibert hits a brilliant hole as well. Willis again gets his double in the final. And like we know, in the Champions Cup final last year, he was the player of the match. Absolutely brilliant. Like I keep saying, is he's a big game player. At the end of the day, he's just a big game player. Ramos penalty. At this point, you're probably thinking, this is game over, right? This is game over. At this point, I think it's 33-23. Petit with a brilliant try. Luku with that penalty right at the end of the game. And then those 2 penalty goals at the end. So, man, 10 out of 10 game. Couldn't have asked for a better game to finish the season. But we move on to the Western Force and British Irish Lions. Man, the Force started red hot. Absolute red hot. British and Irish Lions, first 3-4 minutes, all they had was the ball. Scored a try of Dan Sheehan. Crossfield kick. James Lowe, offload to Dan Sheehan, scores a try. Luckily for me, because I picked Dan Sheehan to be one of the first 3 try scorers. So good little tip that. And then Nick White comes back, scores a try. Ben Donaldson converts. So 7-all at this point. And then it's just one-way traffic, obviously. But, next try was only in the 16th minute. And then just before halftime, Elliot Daly crossed as well. So the game was actually very tight going into halftime. But that second half, just the pace the game was played at. If you were watching it, not sure if you were there or not, but the pace that the British and Irish Lions play with as a club team from the Super Rugby, you're not going to be able to keep up with it. It's like hit, ruck, hit, ruck, hit, ruck, and then they spread it out wide. And one thing the Northern Hemisphere has done brilliantly is those crossfield kicks. They can spread the field out. The winger's always jamming in, creates that space. And now wingers got to worry, I know that Finn Russell's brilliant with those kicks, so I need to stand a bit wider, creates that gap in between them. Just brilliant game plan by them at the end and converted it. First half, if you watched it, you would have been pretty disappointed with the British and Irish Lions. You'd probably go, I think the Force left a lot of points out there. I think the Force could have scored in that first half at least 2 or 3 tries, but they bombed it. Their mauls just weren't doing their job. Or when they do get a bit of go forward, they'll get it disrupted some other way as well. Because you can see there, British and Irish Lions, 28 missed tackles, so more than the Western Force, and they won 54-7. So Turnovers, more turnovers for the Lions. Lions made more tackles. So it just shows the Force just did not capitalize. 55% possession, 50-50 in territory. So if you're just looking purely at the statistics, take away that score at the top, you wouldn't believe that it's 54-7 looking at those statistics. So, I mean, missed opportunity for the Western Force. They really had their chances, but just didn't take them at the end of the day. And that's rugby, right? Now, next one we move on to is Italy and Namibia. I actually watched this one live. They had it on YouTube, a live game, which was freaking brilliant. Good to see. I love having rugby live on YouTube, people being able to watch it. And yet again, same thing here. Italy started off pretty rough. I mean, quite a few knock-ons. Namibia was on their line, got a couple penalties. And at the end of the day, Italy were trying to score off every play. And then that second half came along and Namibia started making those errors that the Italians were making in the first half. So, and none of them were really crazily well-worked tries. So it's not like it's a rock, phases. Most of Italy's tries were spread it out wide. You know, you got a gap. And most of them was, you know, so you got the two forwards right next to the ball player. And then the player is just coming around out the back. That really caught the Namibians off guard with those pods. And I mean, here at club level rugby, everywhere around the world now is using pods. The whole point is you get that first player around, so they jam in, trying to hit him. And then you got a player that's your safety, right? So you got the winger or something right off your shoulder. So if they jam on you, you just pop the ball right outside your shoulder, they're straight through the line. Or if not, the other person jams too, quick ball, and then your winger and your center is out on the outside. So it was a great game to watch. I think, you know, good little crowd there in Namibia as well, in Windhoek. So all in all, I think it's just good for rugby. Again, just this weekend has been brilliant. I mean, the Barbarians playing. You have the British and Irish Lions. You got Italy versus Namibia. You know, Namibia finally getting a big game again. And they know they have to lift because they got Zimbabwe right on their tails. They got Algeria also on their tails. I mean, last year's Africa Cup, Zimbabwe beat Algeria in the final. So it just shows that Namibia is not anymore just the top dog. Even though they're getting their players back from overseas, they still have to lift. But yeah, you can see at the start, it's a penalty try, couple penalties, Trula, Marin, Gessi, Menoncello, Trula, Fusco, Spagnolo, Vani, Trula, and then a penalty try to finish. And like I keep saying, man, Menoncello to me is a top 6, top 3, should I rather say, number 12 inside center in the world at the moment. Absolute brilliant. Next game, we got the Maori All Blacks versus Japan 15. So this is not the top Japanese team. They do have a lot of young players in there, and it really showed. The first half, they were brilliant. First half, absolutely brilliant. Second half, the Maori All Blacks just pulled away with it. You can see here. So starts off, Ueda gets a try, penalty kick for Green, so 10-0 at this point. Forbes gets a try, Ueda, and then Eklund scores a late try. So it's at this point, what's that, 17-15 at halftime, right? And then it's just pretty much one-way traffic from then on. You got McFennell with a try, then you got Green with a penalty, you got Sullivan, Knock, Brown, Hauiti, Parapara, and then Trask to finish it off with another try. So 53-20. Just another 40-minute performance, unfortunately, by the Japanese. And, you know, coming closer to the World Cup, you can see what they're building on. Their structure is brilliant. They're trying to bring more depth in, trying to bring those younger players in from university. Because if they're playing for the university, they obviously can't be a professional player at that point. They're putting education, all that stuff first. So you're seeing a lot of Pacific Islander players, you know, a lot of Fijian players, a lot of Samoan, Tongan, even Kiwis and stuff going over to Japan, going to these universities, playing for them, getting an education while also being able to play a good level of rugby. And then from then you can get picked up by the Japanese clubs. And that'll also give you a way into a residency so you can actually play for the Japanese international team. Yeah, and that's what they're doing, and that's how they're going to get stronger, I think, building that depth. And you can see what Eddie Jones is trying to do with the Japanese team. A lot of structure, a lot of backdoors, a lot of deception plays. and it's working. So I think they're going to keep working on it. We'll see in this Pacific Cup, with when they play against Samoa, when they play against Tonga, Fiji, all these countries, it's going to be very interesting to see. So 53-20 final score to the Maori All Blacks. And we move on to the next. So this is the under-20 World Championship at the moment going on. Absolutely exciting. I mean, there's so much rugby going on at the moment. I'm going to the British and Irish Lions versus Reds game on Wednesday night. So it's going to be a brilliant atmosphere, brilliant games. At least it'll be a little bit warmer than it was maybe in Perth. But let's have a look. So first game, you got England smashing Scotland, 56-19. The War of the Roses. Yeah, absolutely one-sided flop. England, as they were big favourites, great win. Now, with the junior box, the South Africa under-20 team versus the Australia 20 team, I was expecting a much closer game. Australia went brilliantly at the under-20 Rugby Championship. They beat South Africa, actually, with a big comeback victory. Australia, I think, were drawn top, but New Zealand ended up just pipping him. I think on points difference it was. So Australia getting demolished is a bad sign. I don't know what happened. I watched the game. It was pure domination by the South African team. Just long-range tries, forwards tries all over the shop. Australia started that second half, maybe the last 30 minutes. They really started to kind of pull back a little bit. But it was a little bit too late, obviously. So you can see the Australian team is better. They just did not turn up on this day. So 73-17 walloping. You got France smashing Spain as expected. We probably thought maybe a little bit of a closer game, with Spain beating Fiji to make it into this championship. And it's good to see that Spain's rugby is on the rise. They're getting more players. The international team has made the World Cup, where they accidentally missed out last time, just with a clerical error, with one of the administration staff allowing them to be disqualified because they played a player who was not supposed to play for them. And then you got Ireland beating Georgia 35-28. That Georgian team is just getting stronger and stronger. I mean, they regularly beating Italy under 20s. So just going to keep getting stronger. That Ireland, see, this is tough. I actually tipped Georgia to win here. I think Ireland were about 18-point, 17-point favorites. So insane that, they got it that wrong, in my opinion. Then you got Argentina beating Wales, an absolute classic, 34-27. New Zealand beating the host nation, Italy, 14-5. So very tight, gritty game there. Italy really, I mean, with those home fans, it's a whole different story. So playing out of their skin, absolutely brilliant by them, 14-5. And New Zealand were big favorites as well. Now, next game's coming up. You've got France versus Wales, which I think will be a cracker. Australia versus Scotland. This is their last opportunity for these two teams, right? If Australia lose, they're done. If Scotland lose, they're done as well. England versus South Africa, maybe fighting it out for the top of the table. New Zealand under 20 versus Georgia. Argentina versus Spain. The battle of the Spanish-speaking nations. You got Ireland versus Italy. The two eyes, and the host nation going at it. So super exciting. This tournament finishes, I think, closer to the end of July. So it's brilliant to see. Love watching these sorts of games, seeing the future stars coming through. It's going to be brilliant. And we'll hopefully do maybe like a tipping thing as well. But at the end of the day, it's so hard to call because a lot of these players are interchanging as well. Then to the next we go as well. Where is it? The World Rugby. So this was from last weekend. So this is for the people trying to make the World Cup, right? For the Asia Championship. Korea versus the UAE. Korea won the first game against Sri Lanka, only just. And just losing to United Arab Emirates. It was 21-all at halftime. As you can see, 38-36. Final score to UAE. Yeah. You can even see here, it's just mostly tries here by the UAE. And they get... So UAE lost already against Hong Kong. Korea beat Sri Lanka. And as we can see here, Hong Kong smashed Sri Lanka 78-7. So Hong Kong is at the top. They are the favorites. They will probably be making it to the World Cup for the first time ever, which is super exciting. I'm happy to see it. I think most of the world is happy to see that Hong Kong, we have a new country playing for the first, or new, not new country, should I rather say, but a new nation being able to play in the World Cup. Absolutely exciting. I was thinking Sri Lanka might keep it a bit closer in this, but they got absolutely demolished. So unfortunate for Sri Lanka, but they are still in the top division. They just lost to Korea. If they beat the UAE, then at least they might not finish last. And they might be able to, they wouldn't have to play off for the 4th position in the next championship either. But brilliant to see, man. Absolute great weekend of rugby. Absolutely exciting. These are some of the fixtures coming up. You got the Reds versus British Irish Lions on Wednesday. Then you got Friday, Sri Lanka versus UAE. Then you got the Waratahs versus British and Irish Lions. Korea versus Hong Kong. Brilliant rivalry game there. Then you got USA versus Belgium. You got Brazil versus the Argentina 15. The Maori All Blacks versus Scotland, which I think is actually going to be a brilliant game, to be honest. Especially the way the Maori All Blacks are playing. And then Scotland missing, their top players. Japan versus Wales in a proper match. Then you got New Zealand versus France. This is interesting too, this Japan versus Wales game. This really shows where Japan is at, and this will really show where Wales is at. If Japan can beat them, it just shows Wales is still in a big decline. And if Japan can upset them, then obviously it's showing that Eddie Jones is working, and it's a real show here, because if Wales don't beat them, it's just one-way traffic for you're in a big decline, right? New Zealand versus France in that first test. It'll be interesting to see. We might do a prediction for this one too, a preview, because it'll be interesting to see the team that France actually puts forward against the All Blacks. Then you got South Africa versus Italy in the first test. How exciting. Up at Loftus Versfeld. Man, how freaking exciting. All the Praetorians, all the locals there will have a nice braai and Kapabiki beer at also, and it'll be brilliant atmosphere. I think there'll probably be a couple of Italian traveling fans as well. Georgia versus Ireland, I think another big game. Georgia needs to solidify that they are now one of the world's top 10. And without Ireland's top players there, without the coach there, they would want to look at actually winning this game, in my opinion. You got Argentina versus England as well, which I think is brilliant. And then Australia versus Fiji on Sunday at a 1:30 p.m. kickoff. I think it'll be a good game as well. Great atmosphere. This will be Australia's one chance to kind of test out this new formation, the new team that they have together before coming up against the juggernauts, the Lions. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy the content. I mean, it's just a wrap up of all the games, all the results, and also the fixtures coming up. We'll be doing hopefully a couple more videos on the predictions and all that type of stuff coming along. And thank you for watching. To everyone who's tuned in live. I will try to do more of these maybe after every weekend. We can do a bit of a wrap up round, just a quick half an hour or something like that, just to catch up and look forward to the next games. And we can really do an in-depth breakdown of certain games coming up as well. And we'll also be looking at doing a world, let's each position, we'll do a top 10 in history. And we can also do a top 10 current players as well. So each position, fullback, wingers, props, etc. So thanks for tuning in. If you did like the video, just hit that like button on your way out as well. We'll break it all down and hopefully you'll be able to see future content. Also, there is short videos that I'm putting on the YouTube channel. So if you do enjoy just short, kind of interesting videos of the rugby around the world, highlights, players, then make sure you subscribe. Make sure you look at the shorts section as well. But thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.